So, hi. This is Painting Platinum. There's a little bit of confusion about which Painting Platinum this is, whether it's 52 or 53. I think we already had 52, but I could be wrong. So, that's what's up there. Let me pop out the chat. Justin is away for a few minutes, getting some stuff together. We are still working on this Sophie. I was early enough today to round up some reference pictures so that we could look at pictures of a champagne bottle and glass, and hopefully finish today. So I keep going back and forth on what colors to use, even after I've already painted it. I'm doing the boots white and the gloves white, like off-white. And then I'll do the ground. I might use like a mix of brine wind brown and I don't know. We'll kind of wing that. That'll be the next thing that I ruminate about forever. So, hopefully today Twitch will be functional, working properly. I'm gonna take tanned skin. I really don't remember what I used for the skin in the beginning, but that's okay because it seems like from what I see with skin and what makes makeup so problematic is that your skin, it's almost like a bajillion pixels of all different colors that just when you stand far away gives you just a mid range. And I guess that's with everything, but skin especially because you're more vascular in some areas, like around your nose. You're darker in some areas, like under your eyes. Hey, Dr. Bob. That sort of thing. Freckles. That being said, a mini being far away is that, or a mini being small is that far away. So, which reminds me of something that Ed and Dave said when I started, which is that I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe some of their first minis were planes, and the idea behind these plane miniatures was that if you hold them at a certain length away from your eye, that replicates the way these actual planes look, I don't know, thousands of feet away. I don't know how many, I don't know plane stuff, how that works. But anyway, I've got so much stuff on my desk I might not even be able to turn this little Paint Susan. It's like knocking over all my bottles. Hold on. So, boop, boop, boop. I need that 9093. This is the Turkey Memorial t-shirt. It sure is. I've already worn it, but hey, it's super comfy and you can't remember the turkey too much. I'm still like really bummed about it. It's hard to lose your area mascot, I guess. It's just really uncomfortable feeling. I don't know if it was said here or in our like town Facebook group, but the turkey is like our little Sebastian, and it's not great. It's not fun. So rest in peace. And it's really hard because it also like the story deals with homelessness and in my opinion mental illness or drug use, and it's sort of like if this were a simulation, it would be or a book or a movie, it would be we have to decide, do we care about animals more or the plight of the human being in our society. Kind of like when we lost Leslie down here and was our resident homeless transvestite mayoral candidate. Yeah, where is that, Dr. Bob? I'm sure I've asked you before. I know I have, actually. And I know I've talked about this, but it used to be a homeless lady named Janet, but I think she just moved away. And this was in the 90s, and it was before, I mean, I don't have stats on it, but I feel like there's way more homeless people, and I would be willing to bet a considerable amount more that aren't just mentally ill or drug users. I think there are some just normal, whatever, but like neurotypical, non-drug using homeless people. Or people that were neurotypical. Well, I guess if you are neurotypical, you're neurotypical. I don't know how that works, but non-mentally ill, non-drug using people that maybe become that. I don't know. I don't know. If you're teetering on the edge, who knows? But anyway, that's definitely a lesson for me because I'm one of those people that it's harder for me seeing animals get hurt. Because, I don't know. Maybe being kind of weird, you just, in a way, relate to animals more. Or maybe because they're defenseless. Like, they don't, they can't speak for themselves, that sort of thing. I don't know. So, Reaper-wise, we're very, very busy, and we've gotten more people working in the department. So it might be a little louder today if you could just bear with us. It's just to get you all the fun stuff. Especially RVE, paint, and Kickstarter. Which means we have to catch up on Kit Shop. But you might hear that. I don't know that you will, but it's interesting because paint department's always been so quiet. We're just such a quiet kid department. And, having more people in here, it's a little louder. There was a time we weren't that busy. There was a time that building caddies meant you built, like, I don't know, 30 of them at a time. And I was kind of the distribution floater. So I would come in after school and start a project, and it might sit on the table for weeks, and it really wouldn't make a difference. Whereas if I started building caddies today, somebody would want to know where they are tomorrow. Distribution was tiny. So much for that idea. But anyway, it's just part of growth, and I enjoy it. I can definitely see it takes a toll on some people that started when we were little, and now it's this medium company with policies and things like that. I'm having to shake my paint weird because my wrist is so messed up. I talked about it last week, maybe the week before, but my wrist is so messed up, and I don't know when it's gonna be better. So I think it's a sleeping injury, which is so pathetic. I know it if I paints. I can balance it out usually by working late the night before. And now so I have one guy that works Audrey, and since he's in school Thursdays, either I get here and I work on Audrey, or I don't have to be here because I don't have to supervise it. Because Tiamat is pretty easy. There are misalignment issues that can cause it not to work, but once you've worked on it for a while, usually you can do like the list of 6 things that might fix it. I've made her feet really pale on accident, but I'm just going to build that back up. This has just been the most willy-nilly paint job I've ever done. Especially since getting out of the Rhonda Bender instructions. I'm so willy-nilly. Maybe next time it'll be a little different. I'll pick one out, I'll modify it, because after making these panties, I feel like I never want to not modify a mini again. I really like it. The chat's a little like off center, and I didn't see the end of that. Hold on, Dr. Bob. I'm going to use, thanks, Dr. Bob. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that means as soon as, thank you, Striding Aragorn. As soon as Justin gets back, we can open the hashtag free. We will be giving away the metallic medium. Hi, Margaret. So yeah, we'll give away the silver metallic medium today. This is the silver metallic medium over black. It is just super sparkly with no pigment. So it would make a decent silver just built up, layered over something, but you could also add something to it. On my short list of ideas for things that I would like glossy clears. Because you might want to add a little bit of color, and you might want semi-matte or shiny or whatever. So clear silver. So I'll show you kind of what I have in mind. The idea being, okay, you have your clear metallic, you can build your own metallic, but then I started thinking, well, you'd need like your clear silver and gold and copper and maybe even a silver rose or a clear rose gold or something, you know, what have you. And I wouldn't want them to be just the straight flake because that's boring. That's easy. Anyway, you can do that. Hold on. So I need a tile. I stayed up super late last night doing my nails because I don't want my nails to look ugly on stream. It's not a great thing to have a camera on your hands and not have them look pretty. So I use I got this pack of like natural, I messed up my cuticles, but natural acrylic colors, and it's a beige nude with little bits of sparkle in it, and I love it so much. I'm in love with it. But it doesn't, just like anything else, it doesn't work the same as the acrylic I was using before. It's kind of weird and drippier. So it took me a long time and it didn't end up as nice. But that's howdy y'all Bevizin. That's what I've been doing. So stayed up really late. Didn't do anything fun besides that. I've gotten to the point where I'm so focused on work, home, stay away from people that, I mean, really the only things I'm passionate about, I guess, is that every day I really want to do something productive outside of work and something fun. Because I've dropped the social bit almost completely out. I had a date with my boyfriend. I don't think it was last week. I think it was the week before. But he knows that I'm really hesitant about seeing anybody. He works in a guy's house blowing glass, and the guy's kids still kind of go out and do whatever. So I'm just really nervous because I would love to make it to the end of this virus without ever having to get it. I think that would just be such an achievement. I'm such a completionist. I would like to do it completely. So anyway, we had this date where he set up this little table outside and made us these lettuce wraps from lettuce from his garden, which was so cute. And it was really funny because I was like, oh, I forgot to bring a candle. I was going to bring a candle. And he was like, I looked everywhere for a candle. But it was super romantic, other than since we were on the other side of the mirror, or not mirror, glass window, we had to talk really loud. Which is easy for me, but not easy for other people. Howdy, LT Floby. But I took a picture of him, but I don't think he would want me to post it. He never likes pictures of himself. He never tells me not to post them, but every time he sees them, he does that like, ugh thing. But yeah, it almost looks violet. So it's it's meant to be just a really cool silver. I think it has silver, white, and a little blue in it, if I'm not mistaken. But it's multiple flakes, so it's not boring. in a secret ratio. But it's very, very sparkly. Obviously, if you don't like as much sparkle, you could add more pigment to it. If you like more, you don't add very much. But idea being, this is the problem we run into, is that our colors are matte, right? So you're going to add what makes the paint matte is going to take away a little bit of that shimmer too. Hi, Nomadzeeg. Bobcat. Hey, lurking is fine. I lurk a lot. So, yes, I-Fi paint. So we don't want to take away the matte, but I really wouldn't mind having some, in the way that Anne will say she only needs a few paints, like really needs a few paints to mix whatever she wants. I would like to make those in a glossy version so that if somebody wanted to, they could adjust the level of gloss. There's some kinks with it, and I don't know how excited anybody is. Thanks, Paladin65. Ed's not stoked about gloss because he likes how the matte assists with coverage, I think is how he describes it. But yeah, Dr. Bob, I'm actually a real life lurker. If I hear people talking, I haven't seen them in a while, or they sound like they're talking about something serious, I'll kind of like lurk around the corner. And I'll make myself known eventually, but I'll kind of like do a little, and then I say, what's going on here? What are we talking about? What are we doing? Because I would like to know everything at Reaper. I make myself an honorary owner or honorary assistant quite often. Right now I've been calling myself Cindy's assistant, which I'm not. But I'll tell you what, this is a secret conversation. I don't think it's really secret. We were talking about in the meeting about the Bones USA and fire, melting point, and yeah, Sadie for owner 2021. Yeah, absolutely. I want no benefits, just the prestige of being an owner. But whatever, I'm a pretend owner. So, but I was like, I volunteer my time to be the burner. I have a torch that I bought off somebody that I have. What am I going to do with the torch? So, exactly. I would like to do my flat iron tech, but I don't have a Bones USA mini with a sword. LT Floby says my wife claims that I have teacher ears. Yeah, you can kind of tell when something's important. I think it's because I always have a headphone in and I really love podcasts, but I can tell when somebody's lying by the way they sound, rather than a lot of people. It's like, oh, if I look in your eyes, I can tell if you're lying, or I can see in your mannerisms. I can hear it. I can hear when people are lying, and I can almost like hear in bold and italics and whatever. So yeah, we'll try the fire. We'll try the flat iron tech, because what I've heard, let's see, Paladin 65. Yeah, I found that Bones USA can't take the heat as much as others. Of course, I was using a hobby heat gun and not just hot water, but I've done the same with others. So what it seems like is it's not quite as rangy. Because I think what I heard in the meeting, and I wasn't super focused because I was thinking about the torch and the mini, was that it melts fast, but I don't know that the water tech works. But we're going to find a way. I love manipulating materials. I love finding that. So, yeah. However, I really like the detailed Bones USA, and it is a good in-between of Bones Original and Bones Black. That's what I've heard. And I've heard that about any of these types of material, is the better they have detail and hold their shape, they snap easy. Yes, Francis. I won't put it all out there, but I will say that there is a half of my influential people in my upbringing, half minus like a few people here and there, that were like just the most, just about like probably a personality disorder somewhere in there, but you would always think, when you're with normal people, or maybe this is just me because I grew up with it, I'd be thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have said this, and you'll think, oh, that's no big deal, but with these people, it always does end up being a big deal. High-pitched chirpington, but crime documentaries and stuff, I can be like, oh, that person's lying. And it's not 100%, obviously. I'm not like a human lie detector, but I don't know. I actually think it might be because I'm so unfocused that, I don't know, like in school, I was always able to doodle and mess with other stuff and listen. And even if I don't take my medicine at the meetings, I notice I doodle and it actually helps me focus, like listening. I don't know. Everybody's different, but I definitely think auditory skills are the way I learn. At least partially. And what's also really weird is I have an uncle that has those old school, like they're like this, but have a radio built in, and he always has one on too. So it's got to be somewhat genetic or something. But I assume genetic because I read recently that hobbies and occupations kind of run in families. And with twin research, they find that tends to work whether people are raised together or not. Okay, so that's pretty much dry. It's kind of icky, but very sparkly. It looks kind of violet, but shouldn't, and doesn't as much in real life. It kind of does. But what I've learned with metallic is that once you put pigment in it, it really changes. What? Dr. Bob says, studies show that people that doodle during conversations, meetings, and other listening presentations retain more than those that don't or just take notes. Interesting. So back to our lady here. I painted flesh colored 9445 Peachy Flesh, I believe is the name. I used that on her feet. I actually think I got rid of my 9093. Like I had to make it this week and had to grab it from here because I don't pull like a stock of streaming paint. I just pull it from my back bar. Literally today when I got in early, I thought, should I just put all the racks of paint under my desk? Yeah, I could see that. Seems to engage more than one channel of reception in your brain. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I wonder what they're working on because I just heard Katie say it's a really good triad and she's a painter. Yeah, we have Katie from card printing and from, I think Katie is who you get when you email help. Everybody's tired today. I heard somebody say they're going to drink a bang. But it's just almost Friday. I had a college history class where a fellow student asked the professor why he let me sleep in class. If he saw his grades, you let him sleep too. Check the notes he's taking. My notes were better when I was half dead than when I was wide awake. And I was acing the class. How funny, MG Photo. I also remember if I have a movie in the background when I paint, I will vividly remember the movie and I look at the mini again months later. That's true. I do that. I remember. So I watch shows, but most of the time I listen to it like some sort of radio program. I can't do it like right at first, but kind of once I know what the characters look like and I have a sort of landscape of the show, then I can do it and it's fun. So I've been listening to and watching The Sopranos and I finished it and I'm going back through it again. It was so good. It was so good. So good. So good. And parts of it were so sad. Ugh. But yeah, I listen to that a lot, and I can look at something that I was working on and be like, oh, it was that episode I was watching when I was with that, or whatever. So I do that in old Howard Stern. But there's not an old Howard Stern archive or anything. I think there's a limited archive if you're on their satellite service. So I've just been watching it on YouTube, which I don't know if it's illegal or not illegal, but you know what I mean? Like, not, it's certainly not sanctioned. It's not like a Howard Stern sanctioned channel. So they really don't have much of a selection. Howdy, Dave Dwyer. So I'm using Treasure Map as my off-white. I think I'm going to change the panty color to a brighter red, but not a bright red. If I didn't bring that with me, I'm going to be so mad. But I meant to bring cinnamon red. I am about to be so pissed. Okay. We might make a red. We might make a red out of Brilliant Red and Marigold Yellow. Yeah, I do want to change the ribbon. I don't know what color I want to do the ribbon though. Probably a warm. The idea with this mini is that she was going to be a dark autumn, have dark autumn coloring, and so we would want things that are warm but not exactly bright and not exactly muted. Probably more toward the bright than muted. Let me put my other glasses on, which is going to mean that I can't read the chat as well, but I don't know. Cinnamon red, yeah, it's a good color. But as long as, what I'll probably do, I'm not using two monitors. Probably have to do is move the chat to this side of the monitor. And then Justin will be back fairly soon and he can help me read the chat. I've never had him do that before, but until I get my contacts, it's just not going to be very interesting. And I'm just lazy. Since I have an astigmatism, I don't think they really keep them in stock. I think they just order them when you want them. I might just order them online. I haven't done that before, but I think it might be time for me to do that. I'm not wild about going in places right now. Even though, I mean, you can pretty well avoid people. This is not going to be the final color of this boot. This is just kind of my mid because I want it a little, I just want it a little different. We'll see how it dries though, because I'm sure many painters talk about this, but Rhonda is the one I've seen most recently talk about, I think she called it drying shift, the way it shifts when it dries. It also doesn't help that I keep painting over and over this, but I just have not mapped out my colors. And I need to do that. I probably need to just stay up here every few days after work, because I just work so much better here, and plan out what I'm going to do, what colors I'm going to use. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is Treasure Map. This is one of the ones Anne mentioned as being a good substitute for some bone colors that went out of active status recently. I think John's been working on this project where he can, oh, thanks, Trasharama, where he can feature paints to kind of bring paints to people's attention that might not be so popular. Or, for other reasons. I don't think they have to be unpopular. But he wants a tile with. We've decided on a method of showing how things look, coverage, whatever. But he wants to be able to wipe the tile off of the color and still have what we set as our sort of backdrop for the swatch. So I've been working with different materials, and right now I have a nail polish one, and I think I'm going to use clear acrylic, like acrylic nail acrylic, to seal it. But I'm just not done with it yet, and it's a really stinky project. But I'll have to, either I or John Overton will show that to you. Probably John. Yeah, I don't know about the Pantone, but I think so. I think that's what it is. Man, I get it so cold in here by accident because when I'm running around and getting stuff ready or when I'm mixing paint, I need it really cool. And then when I sit down, I just freeze. I, really proud of my people because we have such a complicated system right now where we're not pumping everything on Audrey. If something's a little drippy or way too thick, it's gonna go on Tiamat. And metallics are going on Tiamat because Audrey has so many moving parts, and metallic is so hard to remove if you've spilled it. It's just terrible. It is the devil. And before, I didn't used to use acetone, but now I'll use acetone on metal parts because you can't really touch plastic with it. I couldn't get it off. Now I can get it off. It just takes forever. And cleaning that machine takes me hours. And it reminds me of when I would do pedicures because like when somebody comes in for a pedicure, if you only have 45 minutes, you really have to focus on what's the most pressing. So that's what I do with the machine is I'm thinking, okay, well this is going to affect the actual function of the machine. I'll get to the cosmetic stuff later. But you have to deal with cosmetic stuff or you end up with an Audrey that looks like hell, which we used to have. That it just didn't get cleaned deeply enough all over. And there was just paint all over it, and it drove me crazy. And there are some areas that just can't be prevented, like the mixing station. I can never get the mixing station to stay clean, so I've just hold on a second, I'm trying to see, it looks like these are fingerless type, like V style, like a V style glove. Yeah, it is. I could have just flipped it around. So we're gonna have to make finger colors too. I hope we don't lose detail from all of the paint we've put on this, but you know what? That's okay. We can figure something out. I think what would look really good for this ribbon is a color that I can't make ever since my destructive test I did with some different metallic materials. But I have a sample of some metallic that's a really nice soft color, like almost like a tan metallic. Oh well. My nose is itching and I can't remember what that means. I think it means I'm going to get company. The paint that imploded, that is the case. It's the weirdest thing iFi paints. It's like it. I mean, it must have somewhat melted. Yeah, somebody's coming to see me. Oh, thanks, Francis. It must have like somewhat melted it. It was weird. I should have taken a picture of it, but I didn't. And for a while I thought like, oh, just somebody stepped on it. I really should document what I do a little better. Justin's been gone forever. And he said he was
I'm
like,
still here.
Oh, thank God. I was about to tell on you. He said like we could just mess around for a while and he'd pop in and then we could get started. And I thought he's never gonna pop in.
Oh no, I was listening to your show.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to start talking about the things
You're doing a
that
good
make
job.
him nervous.
No, don't do that.
Okay, so in recent news, Justin and I were just talking about how we signed up for the next, for interest in getting the vaccine, which means they put us on a big list, and after they've taken care of people that like really super need it, they'll give it to people who really kind of need it. So we're going to be, I almost made a joke about a conspiracy, but then I realized this will go on YouTube and then we might get in trouble. Anyway, we'll be hopefully protected. We don't know for how long or to what extent, but to the best of science of the day. And I'm pretty excited about it. Like, I think this is the first vaccine, other than tetanus. I get really excited about tetanus shots because I feel like they're super important. And then, you know, there's just so many times you injure yourself, or maybe it's just me because I'm clumsy, that you're like, oh, thank God I have my tetanus shot. But I'm pretty stoked about it. I've been telling people, like, I would run and slip and slide into this vaccine. Like, if there were a nurse at the end of a slip and slide, I would take a running start and slip and slide right into it. That's how stoked I am about this. But I think I'm still going to wear a mask forever on account of I like it. And now we've kind of let the genie out of the bottle. It's socially acceptable. I'm interested in seeing how long it's going to be socially acceptable. Yeah, sibling, you're probably right. You're probably right. Trash Aroma, I'm just enthused. I'm just thoroughly excited. Maybe I'll use Dragon Bronze. I really do like Dragon Bronze. I used it a little bit on my flower pots. That hurts. I need a shaking machine. All right. Oh. That's right, Francis. It'll help with cold and flu season. Justin, how long do you think after all of this, let's say this solves everything. Let's say we get vaccinated and it's like back to normal. How long from the time right now, we'll say, to the time it starts to resolve, to the time it's totally gone, do you think it'll be socially acceptable in the United States to wear a mask? Where people won't look at you kind of weird.
To not wear a mask?
No, to wear a mask. Like, how long do you think I'll be able to get away with wearing a mask before people look at me funny? Assuming, let's say, this ended by
Probably
summer.
years.
You think?
Yeah, genuinely.
I like that. It's buys me a lot of time. It's going to take a hot minute for this to become a color I like, but that's okay. I could even make a color a little more sparkly, I think. I think I could take one of the old, like let's say that I like the new metallic better than I like the old metallic, but I like an old metallic color. I think I could combine them if I wanted to with this medium. Because I went over the black, I think because I went over the black, it's a lot more of a blue silver. The only time I don't like wearing the mask is when I work on Audrey, because Audrey used to be really tall, but but it's now taller because it's got wheels. So I asked the guy, because we have a guy that helps David Baker, and he's the guy we talk to most of the time. And I was like, why'd you make it for talls? Like, why'd you have to make it for like half giants? And he said, oh, that's just because one of the pieces goes up to a certain point in safety standards and whatever. So, whatever. But it's so tall that when I fix the machine, I have to get in it upside down. Like, I have to step on a step stool and bend over to where my head's upside down. And I get hot, and with the mask, it makes me just a little crazier. Like, it puts me on edge. Something about heat in those masks. But I can still handle it. Like, I can wear my, I think it's a respirator that we wear to flake metallics, and I can clean that shed out and get pretty hot and still wear it. But it's just, I like the paper masks, though. I don't like the cloth ones. And I wonder if that's why it's easier for me. Because I'll forget I'm wearing it, and I have family members that are like, what are you talking about? David was wearing one yesterday. You were here yesterday, right, Justin?
Yes.
He was wearing one of those, what are they called? It's like an infinity scarf for men, but it's tighter.
Yeah, he was telling me about it before.
A men's infinity scarf. It looked like blue velvet. And I didn't want to say anything and like embarrass him in the meeting, but I was like, man, that a gator, yeah. It's a blue velvet gator. Made me think of George Costanza. He would drape himself in velvet if it was socially acceptable. I think velvet's back in the way that it was in the 90s. Ooh, and you know what else is kind of back? Jellies. Jelly shoes. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm going to have to go off the rails for a minute and show you these shoes. Yeah, that's better. That's going to a better place, I think. I wonder if it's this nasal spray. I'm addicted to nasal spray. Where is... Yeah. Okay. So let's get on the old internet and see if I can't find these shoes that I love so much. I feel so invaded, Justin. I brought up my browser and it was connected to our Office account. And so when I searched for something, it had the different tabs, like shopping, images, whatever. It wasn't Google, it was something else. And it was like work. And it had a little lock thing on it, which I assume means like private. And when I looked at it, it was like searches within Reaper miniatures. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's connected. Like, it's connected to my computer. Not that I Google things I shouldn't, but what if I did? What if I Google something weird? That's not what kind of file I want to save this as. Maybe this will work though. God, these are so cute. These shoes are so cute. Because when I was a kid, we wore jellies. These are Adidas. Yes, hashtag free is open. Dicefamist. Good sibling. I've been myself for long enough. Like, I mean, I know everybody's their self all the time, but I've been outwardly myself long enough here that I feel like people will overlook a fair bit of stuff that's sort of weird. And I appreciate that. Damn it. Didn't work. Okay. Oh, I can go back to recently closed. I like that. All right, maybe this will work. Sorry, guys, it's just really important. It's a really important part of our show here is nostalgia. Look at those. Look at those. Would you just look at those? Look at those. Justin, are you looking at those?
Hold on a second. I'm finishing up an email.
He's kicking Sir Forescale. Yeah, Justin's Googling weird stuff. Oh, Trashorama. Valfera says, those are some of the ugliest shoes I was forced to ever wear. I enjoyed them. I thought they were really cute, but they gave you blisters like an MF. Like the worst. I may be when my taste is a little gaudy. Like if I really were to cultivate fashion in the way that most people do and not just put on clothes that either don't have paint or on them or do have paint on them for the purpose of living life. Justin, are you almost done? I got a big shoe covering my mini.
You have a big shoe covering your... Okay, what? Okay. What do you what do you need me to Google?
I
Why do
want
you
you
have
to
a big
look at
shoe
this
on your...
shoe.
Oh, man, those are incredibly ugly.
Huh. Well, it just goes to show different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
Absolutely. I would not wear those personally.
Well, then they're not for you. You didn't wear jellies.
You're right. I did not wear jellies.
I thought that was the shoe of censorship at first because it was over her torso. Wouldn't that be great? Oh. Francis says, I want to come live at Reaper for maybe at least a week or two so I can meet everyone and see every inch of all the areas where magic miniing and painting happens. I would love that. And also, I always threaten to have a lock-in here because I have so much work to do. And it would be so fun to have a lock-in. Disfamous, he wouldn't talk to any girl wearing them unless it was his wife, girlfriend, wife. I think this is generational, but if somebody's been together a long time, I call their partner their wife. But I don't think I do that with men. I think I don't say husband. That's kind of weird, but then there's this, like, I wouldn't say culture, but this phenomenon of being like wifey. I don't know. I do it to James to be funny because my grandma always called him my husband, which I thought was cute. But I mean, by the way they lived life in their time, at least as far as I know, we probably would be married by that point. I don't know of couples of that generation. Now, there's always going to be like the Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell didn't get married, but they're not the. I don't know if my grandparents are the greatest generation or if they were the. I feel like. What was the generation between Boomer and Greatest? I need a chart. And then there was a silent generation. Were they the silent generation? Did I make up the silent generation? But yeah, you're probably right, Valfira. She really loved my boyfriend because his name is James and her brother's name was James. So it was just a really easy transition. So she always remembered his name, which was really interesting. And evil twin Mason. But yeah, she really liked him. And also, anytime she said I love you, I'd be like, I love you more. And I was on the phone with him one time and she said, I love you. And he said, I love you more. Like, he always knew what to say to make the older ladies happy. He also, like, when he comes in the house, just bragging on my honey corner. When he comes into my house, he's like, where are my beautiful ladies? He's talking about my cat. Y'all haven't seen my cat in a while if you've seen her. I think I showed a picture of her once, but she's got a thyroid problem, so she is not only pretty thin, but she looks unkempt. She's not, she doesn't look as good as she used to. I mean, I still think she's pretty, but I think it's because you know what I mean? I think it's hard to notice the change. Yeah. Well, my cousin's having a baby, so that's going to be the next of that little generation. When my other cousin had a baby, like, we're all really close, but I'm not really their aunt, right? I'm their second cousin, but I've decided what I am now. I'm their great cousin. It's not a thing, but it is now. It's for when you're not quite an aunt and not quite a cousin. But I'm super excited about it because it's so nice to be excited for somebody having a baby when it wasn't something that they had to get used to the idea of. Like a baby that wasn't, they're excited about. I'd like to be excited with somebody, not in spite of somebody, if that makes sense. Swap silent and greatest. Greatest generation is 1901 and 1927, the ones that fought World War II. A lot of the early silent gens were in as well, the whole lied about my age thing. Oh, trash around my McCant or cousin aunt. Yeah, exactly. Not that there's anything wrong with an oops. I'm an oops, but you sure don't want to be excited for somebody that's not excited. That's rude. But I mean, by the time people tell you, they're probably excited anyway, because, hormones or brains and the whole like brains liking procreation thing. But anyway, so we will have a new baby. And she actually, so she has COVID right now. And from what I've read, you can lose your antibodies and then have a baby, and the baby's born with the antibodies. So I wonder if they'll check for that. I'm really interested to see how that goes. But the other great cousins are, oh gosh, they've got to be like 8 or 9 and 5 or 6. So it's a little bit of a gap, but not a huge one on the younger one. Exennial is a thing. Sky is clear. They call that the Oregon Trail generation. And I don't know if I'm in that or not. I'm not one of the oldest millennials, but I'm an older millennial. I'm at 89. But I think millennials go up to their late 30s. I think Anne and Daryl are both Gen X. I like Gen Xers. It's a nice time. I mean, I like people from every generation. Not all people, but everybody's got every team has their superstars. Yeah. Maybe. Jay Slugger. Hi, Galvin Crass. So you're a great cousin that you can spoil it rotten. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But what'll be really fun is me and this cousin are both kind of oddballs, and we look a lot alike to the point where the youngest cousin that's like 5 or 6, until she was like 4, she couldn't tell us apart. Like her name's Brittany, so she's Aunt B. So sometimes she'd call me B, and they'd be like, "That's not B, that's not B." And we were together on Thanksgiving once, and she kind of like looked at both of us like, "What is up? What is going on?" Um, so yeah, eventually I think she was able to tell the difference between us. But funny enough, I had a little silky terrier that is no longer with us, but at the time had a silky terrier, and my cousin B has, I think it's like part Schnauzer, and her name's Phoenix, and she would call my dog Phoenix. So like, not only could she not tell us apart, she couldn't tell the dog's part. Which didn't say much for Phoenix because Whiskey was like 17 and Phoenix was only like 5. Let's see. Okay, so you can be immune from COVID after you have it for up to 12 weeks, 3 months, 90 days after the day's your symptom onset date. If you're pregnant, the antibodies can be passed down through the umbilical cord. There have been antibodies discovered in umbilical blood. However, this is passive immunity for the infant and wanes shortly after birth. Shazza Gaming, you work for the Department of Public Health on the COVID team? Oh my gosh. That is neat. Man, you're like the star of the show right now. That is so neat. And not only am I interested in that, I'll have to tell you this bug story here pretty soon. Galvin Crafts, I really like the new paint machine. It's a lot of moving parts, so there's a lot of stuff that, when I say something's broken, it's usually just out of alignment. So there's a lot of aligning to do, and a lot of things that can go wrong, but it works really well. I don't know if we've really talked about kind of the features of it, so we're going to wait. But one day Ed will let me show pictures and videos. But it, um, it doesn't take as long. It does more than what the other machine does, and it takes the same amount of time. Oh, that's not fun. Um, so what I've heard is that even after you don't have antibodies, that maybe your, I could be wrong about this, but maybe your T cells can recognize it. Oh, Izzy Lobo, you work at a hospital. Our vaccination team has been rocking the house. Yeah, but I bet they don't have a slip and slide into the vaccine needle, because that's not a thing. Um, Nomad Zeke, this is something me and Justin were talking about, and I don't think they know. I think it's going to depend on. I'm a pretend doctor, which is why I'm speaking on this. What do we see? However, no. However, if you get a PCR test within the 12 weeks, you can test positive even though you're no longer sick. Huh. So I think if it mutates enough, it'll change. And so far, from what I've heard, the different variants or strains they think will still be protected against, but I think there's a theoretical possibility that it would mutate enough that it wouldn't be, so it'd be like the flu. And there's a real answer from Sheza Gaming. So, Justin, did I tell this bug story? Do you think it's appropriate?
The kissing bug story.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's probably not. I mean, it's really it's harmless. It really is.
Okay.
I mean, the bug's not, but the story is harmless. I think, but
I
because there's
found
been nothing that's come of it, right?
that's what's weird. Okay, so I found a kissing bug. Okay, told you about the kissing bug. Did I tell you about the phone call? Got a call from the health department. The guy was like, "Hey, this bug tested positive." I know I haven't told you about the second phone call. Yeah, I sent it in. Okay, the pest control guy came in to like spray us extra poison or whatever they do. And then I talked to this guy who seemed like the most interesting person in the world. I think he was in Austin at the health department and called me about this bug. And it turned out that this bug had bitten a human, but they really don't know who. So they're assuming it was me because I found the bug, but I was wearing shoes and it's not like I was like laying on the ground. So I don't think that I got bit by the bug, but they say it's like a mosquito. Like it would kind of numb me and I wouldn't know it. So anyway, at first I'm like, okay, I'll get tested. And then I called my doctor. My doctor knows I'm a little bit of a, like unmedicated, I'm a huge hypochondriac. Medicated, I'm like, I'm not really that worried about it. So, Margaret, what it is it's this bug that's migrated here from South America, and it carries a parasite called T. cruzi, and it causes Chagas disease. In a lot of people, there's no symptoms in like the acute phase, but over time, there's certain areas of your body that are damaged, so it can cause health problems like decades later. So anyway, it's pretty serious. And when they first started talking about them, I'm on a bug group, so I was pretty interested. And I was like, oh man, I gotta be on the lookout. And there's lots of look-alike bugs. So this was my first encounter with this particular bug. So anyway, I talked to this guy, talked to my doctor or the nurse, and tell her that the health department wants me to be tested for the T. cruzi. Anyway, so the nurse talks to the doctor, and the doctor's like, probably rolls his eyes and says, like, tell her that this is so rare, even if the bug was positive, even blah, 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 whatever. So then I decided not to do it. Then the local public health department called me and was like, really, like, honestly, could you get tested? Because they really want to know who it bit. Well, the thing is, even if, and the bug had it, so even though the bug had it, it's unlikely that it was transmitted because it's like transmitted through bug poop. I don't know. It's a whole long thing. It's a whole long sordid tale, which just leads me to more questions, which is like, how big is their poop and how far do they spread it and how long can they walk? Could they have could it have gotten into the mobile home community across Teasley? Like, I just have so many questions, like unanswerable questions. But anyway, so I'm gonna have to get tested for this, and it's probably still not going to tell us who the bug bit because it's not like in the human blood they found in this bug. It typed it. Like, I was like, could you pull a blood type on it? And she was like, no. So it bit somebody, and I don't know who. They unfortunately still go out and about like there's no such thing as COVID. Oh no. Yeah, you got it, Francis. You're gonna make it. So anyway, that's the bug story. But they wanted me to ask everybody at work, have you had a fever? Have you had a rash? And I'm thinking, I mean, what are we to do up here? All of us get tested for it? I mean, what a mess. You need a certain quantity of blood for typing. Yeah, I figured. I always imagine, just from the crime documentaries and such that I've watched, that in order to test blood, they have to like throw it in a fire. Like, in order to test evidence, you have to take a piece of it and just throw it in the fire. But anyway, that was our bug situation, which is probably not a big deal based on what the guy first told me, that it's very unlikely. But I'm still gonna have to do it. It's just, I'm like, I gotta go to the dentist before that. I gotta take the cat to the vet. It's not as if, I don't know. It'd be really neat if we could tell from the test if I'm the one it bit, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't. And then, Justin, I don't know if I told you this, but they were like, does anybody work at night? And I said, I work at night and another guy works at night. And they were like, would you tell me this person's name? And I was like, Or they said, who's the other person? And I said, a person. She was like, would you be comfortable sharing the person's information? And I was like, not really. I'm not trying to have the household be panicked because they're active at night and somebody works in the evening. And that'd be one more thing for this person's wife to worry about. I don't need that. So yeah, that was the bug drama. Oh, I remember I did talk about it because I showed a picture and I couldn't size it, so it just ended up being really big. But they are gnarly looking bugs. Francis, me too. I've washed my hands raw since I was like 8. That's why I sleep with the Aquaphor on my hands. Yeah, Dr. Bob, I'm changing our clothes a lot. This is Sophie getting ready to go to the after party, and she keeps changing clothes. Like, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. Oh, no. My lid came off. Francis, I figure I'll be really scared if I get it, but as of right now, I'm just like, man, I really don't want it. If I get it, I get it. The reason I asked is because it's somewhat, I don't know, it's somewhat like, I don't know, like dramatic, or I just don't know. Valfera, I respect that. At least you're not like, I don't trust it, and I'm going to be going to lots of parties. But I have heard it's something they've been working on for like 30 years, and they had a breakthrough with it in 2016. So it's not new, 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 new. It's just like new, new. That makes sense. Yeah, when the health department called me a second time, I was thinking, "Oh my god, it's about COVID." Like I've come into contact with somebody. I didn't think they were going to do contact tracing on my boyfriend when he got it, but eventually, I think okay, so I think he was sick for 3 or 4 days before he went and got tested. Then it took them about 10 days to get his results back, and they called him 2 days later. But because we were already being super careful about it, he had only been to the grocery store one time, maybe two times. But he was able, same grocery store, he was able to say, I only went to this grocery store. But on the bug thing, it's like the health people want me to do something, and I really don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like when I talk about it to people, they kind of look at me like, what do you care about this bug or whatever?" And I just feel like the scientist at the beginning of a weather apocalypse movie. Like I'm the only one that knows about this bug because I've got to know all the scary shit in the world. I'm handling this pandemic personally so much better than I handled Ebola. And there was literally, what, one person came to Dallas with Ebola, and of that one person, I think two nurses got it. It's so like it's um it's so hard to contract that it's really not something that's easy to get going like that. Um, Sibling, I probably could, and I did, but he just told me to tell them that Reaper's hours are 9 to 6 and to leave it at that. And he also told me that because there's not an approved treatment for this parasite, he wouldn't even get it. I mean, it's approved for other things, but it's so rare that I think it's somewhat experimental. But I'm sure it's just an anti-parasitic drug, and this is also a parasite. So it's not like it's a regrow hair after you've been balding that also fights the whatever, also fights the bug parasite. But we check everybody's temp and we log it. So if anybody would have had a fever, we would have known it. So at least the fever part of that is covered. Sky's clear. There's so much that I think is unprecedented about this. I often wonder about what is okay in the workplace and what is not. Because Ed and Dave have told me not to tell people what to do on their lunch, but I'm pretty much like, you've got to know that we're not social distancing and wearing masks at work, so you can get in the car with 4 other people at lunch and not wear a mask. It just doesn't make any, like, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you this does not make any sense. And I've asked the safety guy, I'm like, what can I ask people about, like, what they've been doing? You know, can I ask somebody if they've been to a huge New Year's Eve party, whatever? And he said, well, you can you can set up like a questionnaire of, have you traveled, have you been exposed to a sick person, whatever, whatever. And he was like, but keep in mind they can always lie, so really that's not even gonna help you. And at this point, it sort of, it reminds me of a few months into this, I was taking my grandpa to doctor's offices, and they would ask him, have you traveled outside the country? And I'm thinking, why would that why would that matter at this point? Like, we had it more here than most other places at that point. Yeah, mini Maven. That's why I'm so glad that they could tell it hadn't bitten a dog. And the pest control guy said that there were no other ones around. Like, literally, and I trust this pest control guy because he seems passionate about what he does and he seems to know a lot about it. But he literally told me, he was like, I think that this bug walked into the garage when it was open, like walked into a door and just like sheltered and wasn't there for very long. And I think he's the only one. I'd sure like that. Oh my gosh, I work in an aircraft traffic control room. We're never that far apart. Work shoulder to shoulder. We rotate amongst the same equipment all day. They wait until there's no traffic to clean. Won't say if you've worked with whoever it was, and you just get to use the space until they bring the cleaning team in. Oof. So I'm gonna have to clean up. Okay. Dr. Bob said something relevant to this mini, and I sort of processed it. Let's see. Don't forget to do the little black bottle opening detail. Surprised how much definition it gives. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, so it's only 4:05, so we have time. I'm going to go into the bottle image first. I changed the bottle I wanted because I really like, I'll just move this. This is easier. I really like this turquoise in it. I don't know if I'll do that, but I like the dark bottle too. So in looking at the bottle, what confuses me about this is I don't know that my light source, I mean, obviously my light source is not going to be the same as the light source in the image of the bottle, but if I did it, would it matter? But you can see that there's like it's a dark, almost black green around the outside. Then there's like a panel of light that's, I would call that gray. Then an olive green, like a yellow, brown, olive color. And that goes down in a beam, but also I can see like almost like a splotch of highlight. And then back to that almost black color on the bottom. Yeah, that'd be cool, Dr. Bob. You just do the label. Okay, I might do that. I certainly don't need to get super detailed into it when I haven't gotten super detailed into anything else. Okay. Thanks, Paladin 65. I've been searching for it. The skin, okay, so I can't get the color just perfect, which is sad because this gray background usually does a really good job, but there's just a little bit of oranginess to her skin. She sort of has like a spray tan look. You can kind of see it, and it looks very, very olive. But it's just plain warm. Yeah, I too love very fiddly bits. So that's that. Oh, let's see. Okay. Let me look. I might as well do this base. I've gotten a little red around there and it looks like a murder scene. And then when I glued this, oh, and it's fallen. I used green stuff when I glued this, and then I realized, like, oh, that's going to be messy. Okay, let's see what grays I have in here. I think I do have Brinewood Brown. I hope I do at least. I have Desert Sand. I do have Brinewood Brown. So I wanted to do like I wish I had a tile. I think I do have a tile. I have the silver tile. Multicolor, I think. So I think I want to do like a pinkish, like almost a terracotta color with this, with the Brinewood Brown. So like Brinewood Brown. It doesn't look like Brinewood Brown. Let's get rid of this bottle. We don't need that up here anymore. Oh, really? Okay. White concrete between, I would say, yeah. Oh, hi, Valander. Yeah, Dr. Bob. That's what I was thinking. That's a great idea. We used to have a terracotta color. We don't anymore, but that's what I want. I wonder if I took Doxy Blush and I wonder if I mix Doxy Blush with Brinewood Brown. I don't think that'll give me what I want because I think I want more red and this is more pink. I dropped my mouse. Let's see. That's actually not bad. If I had clear orange, I don't. I have marigold yellow. I have clear orange somewhere. Yeah, it's a wireless one. Rust brown and saddle brown would be great. I have a very not so useful selection here, at least for what I'm doing. What about woodland brown? Oh, I didn't shake that enough. That's okay. We might roll with it. I kind of like that. So I've had people tell me, and I don't know if this is the problem they're having, but with the Pathfinder metallic specifically, but also new metallic, so anything in the bones line, that they have a weird consistency. I believe what that is that they're not shaking in. They're they're hard to shake in. So I first noticed it with rose gold, that it's really hard to shake in. So sometimes I like bang it on the table or whatever. Then what also could be happening is it could be freezing. Yeah, I do need a vortex mixer, especially with my wrist. My wrist being all messed up. My poor wrist. Let's see what I'm messing around with. I have been told not to mess. I have been told to kind of stick to the path as of now because because we decided to release 27 paints for RVE, and I really thought that we were going to do a triad, so I didn't ask about it for a long time. I really put it off. But we're trying to mimic what we gave away for the ReaperCon virtual that we did last September. And that's very similar to the number we did. We did a few others last time, but we're not doing that many. I think we did like 35 or whatever. Yes, Valander, that's exactly what happens. So yeah, you have to shake it really, really well. And the other thing that could happen, though I doubt this is what happened, is sometimes one of the machines won't tighten the caps enough, which sucks so bad. I hate it so much. And used to, we would have a label process that would QC it. Now that's kind of been removed. We kind of do it all in one step. So we QC it, but we might not just catch every little bit of it. And it's supposed to move on to internet fulfillment, to packaging if they're making triads, to kit shop. But the thing is, when you don't work with paint all day, you don't think about it in the same way that we do. We work with it all day. Like we know kind of what the ins and outs are. But if you're trying to just finish an order through no fault of your own, you might not remember that. So, yes, vortex mixing helps. I could definitely see that. Now, one thing though, this is really interesting, is when I was messing with that glow in the dark, it was saying that shaking it really, really hard wasn't that great. I don't think it meant like in a bottle. I think it meant like in a shaker over and over, which is something I've wondered about with some of our paints. Without getting into super detailed details, some of our paints kind of have veered off from the base has sort of veered off a little bit, so they're really hard to mix. So I end up shaking them a lot, and I'm like, I wonder what this does to the base. I really don't think it would do anything to the pigments, but I wonder what it does to the base. I think it's fine, but I just know it gets really foamy and it has to wait to defoam. Kind of like when I worked at Starbucks, we would joke that we were making a cold cappuccino and somebody shook up milk and it got all foamy. So yeah. Yes. You shake your paints often. I have joked that I would like a shaking rack. I'd like a rack that shakes for me. I went through not too long ago with the plan of, oh, it kind of made a little heart, guys. That's cute. Okay, so I did 2 drops of woodland brown, 2 drops of marigold yellow. Yeah, marigold yellow, 9007, and 2 drops of doxy blush. I think that's going to be my pink tile color. My big relaxy time hobby has been building houses in The Sims, like really pretty, like take forever houses. And I'm so picky about color. It's such like, it would be so frustrating to watch me do it, but I just take forever doing it. And this reminds me of one of my tile patterns I like to do. Used a powered jigsaw to shake up my paint every now and again, make them smooth as silk, but they do need to be knocked on the table to get the thin stuff out and spout before drying any paint. So what I do, because I think I've shown you guys, I don't have them right now, but I have these jars that I use for my white. I have like a super white that I use because I test on the wings, the Sophie wings. So if I've covered them in paint, I just paint them back white, like gesso them over and start over. So I want that more pink still. I will water my paint. You're right. You're right. Um, so I use that in a jar, and every now and again I will shake that up and restrain it. Like I'll put it through a strainer and I'll pour it back in and clean the bottle. But that's glass, so it's a little different, but it kind of cakes up on the sides and on the lid. If this color's too wild, I figure I can do like a brown wash over it. Oh, I actually have the uh the testy bottle, the new bead testy bottle. So let's see, what do I have? I don't find a difference. They're very heavy. So I want to get one of these out of here without all the water coming out. Or I'll just let all the water come out. I don't care. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? I5 paints, maybe. I might be able to reveal a few, depending on what time. We'll have to get out of here at 4:30. 4:30 period. But yeah, I maybe a reveal. You might be able to work that. Okay, so I've got some. Where's my little ruler? I don't want to get my ruler dirty, but they are like 2 millimeters, 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeters in diameter, I would say. Oh, Rax, you have no idea. That's where we're at. We talk about it, HM Road Dog. 2 millimeter, yeah. Um, we talk about it for sure. There's a few other things that are coming before that would kind of lead us down that road. So yes. Yeah. Does not use stainless steel because there's so much prevarication on how stainless the steel is. I use hematite beads since they also aren't plastic, could leach, or glass could be dyed. They're also large enough that no chance of beads end up caught in the bottle nozzle. So they're stainless, but they're magnetic. And Ed told me they should not be magnetic if they're stainless. So that's thus the testy bottle to see kind of what happens. I need to increase the pressure on my testy bottle and put it in some heat. I need to put the heat on it. But so far, so good. This might be my ignorance. I really don't worry that much about the metals. I really don't. Paladin, I was about to say with hematite you get the metaphysical properties. It strengthens our connection with the earth, making us feel safe and secure. It endows us with the courage, strength, endurance, and vitality. A stone for the mind, hematite stimulates concentration and focus, enhancing memory and original thought. So we don't use any metal flakes. If you were around for the experiment where the bucket caved in on itself, that's what happened when we had that. We could use metal flakes, but we would have to use different bases that might not be non-toxic. We are grounded in that non-toxic. Let me look in my crystal book and see if we have anything about hematite. Anything else? Anything to add? You know me, I gotta one up. I gotta add. You'll have to forgive me, but I inherited metaphysical books, and what am I gonna do if I don't use them when I have the chance? This book is called Love is in the Earth. You'll probably see it on many a hippie mantle nightstand or bookshelf. Paladin, no, don't lick your brushes. Don't lick your brushes. I would have if I hadn't worked with Anne. Hematite. Ooh, it's got a little science in there. Hematite crystallizes in the form of tabular and rhombohedral crystals, masses, columnar and granular shapes, plate-like layers, rosettes, and botryoidal configurations. Gray to black, brown to red, all with a metallic luster. Stone of the mind. It assists one in mathematical pursuits and in the development of both mental and manual dexterity. That's good for painting. Mental capabilities. Encourages one to reach for the sun, helping the body to remain cool or dispelling heat at the physical level. One could use it on the forehead to draw out the heat from a fever, or one could take it as an elixir internally. Not medical advice. Hashtag not medical advice. It facilitates balancing the yin-yang energies. In addition, the magnetic qualities of the energy to balance the meridians within the body. I like that idea. The dissolution of negativity. I need that in my paint sometimes. Transforming negativity in its dissolved state to the purity of the universal light of love. Mic drop. Oh, I love a hematite paint color. It helps one to attain a soft meditative state, providing for smooth grounding and bringing tranquility and emotion clarity. Emotion clarity. That's a strange way to say that. Either way. Oh no, my hangover tells me my meridians are definitely out of balance. So what they do is a lot of people, like, I don't know, I think they make like a tea of it essentially and then take it out of there. Like I heard, and this is so not advice. This is not advice. This is not advice. Don't do this. But on one of my folk magic podcasts I listen to, they talk about how people used to file off the sides of a dime, and they would put it in milk and heat it, or water and heat it, and then like strain it out like tea and drink that for protection. I don't know. I don't know that I would do that. One thing I do that is kind of not spooky, but sort of on the spooky train is I will make really strong sage tea because I don't burn sage, and just kind of let it waft around, and it smells so good. It really does seem to like clear your sinuses. But I believe it's a mercury dime. In this particular path, the mercury dime, I hear mercury dime mentioned a lot. Yeah, a lot of people don't like the like smattering of other cultures in specifically American folk magic, but it has legitimate basis sometimes, just as long as it's I've heard as long as it's treated like a salad, not a soup, I guess. As long as it's not all like mixed together to the point where it's unrecognizable, but kind of stands alone in its own culture. I don't know. Yeah, not a smoothie. You don't want a cultural smoothie, you want a cultural salad. I mean, I don't know. What do I know? Everything's, different from one generation to the next. Ooh, tarragon mushroom chicken for dinner. I don't know what tarragon is, but I know I had a tarragon chicken salad one time and I hated it. So I assume it was something I didn't like, but I don't know if the tarragon was something I didn't like or something else was something I didn't like. But boy, howdy, did I not like that. The silver antibiotic quality is questionable, especially since if you overdo silver ingestion, you can turn blue. Uh, yeah. I had a doctor use, I don't think it was colloidal silver. I think it was something similar on like a stick to, I don't know, stimulate healing. And it was not a loopy doctor. It was a no crunchy doctor. But I don't know, it's different. Oh, poop. I haven't eaten Taco Bell in a really long time, but I do know that if I eat all of a Taco Bell meal, I'll throw up. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Silver to cure burn wounds. I got my grandparents on these fantastic band-aids months ago that I like wish I would have known about forever. I can't remember what they're called, like bandages, but they're big and they have silver in them and they stick really well. I think they're the kind they use in the hospital, but they work really well in healing wounds that are hard to heal, like pressure wounds and stuff. I feel like I could have a show about amateur care for the elderly. Not that amateurs should care for the elderly, but I mean, if you want to, I mean, if that's what your elderly want, then you'd have to figure it out yourself, and it's hard. You can take a rod of copper, put it in your wet palette to kill bacteria. What? That's neat. I'll leave you guys with a pro tip I talked about today, which is that when I worked in men's hair, I used something called an alum block that they used to use in barbering, and it's a block of potassium alum. Is that what I'm thinking? Potassium alum. Anyway, I could never really find it because it's sort of old timey. Like a lot of people would use it to cut high tops. They would, not high tops, flat tops. They would rub it on the hair and it would coat it with this mineral and it would cause it to stick up straight. But you could use it if you cut yourself shaving. So not for gashes or bad cuts or whatever, but like just a tiny little cut. You can use it to stop bleeding. So when I worked at a place where I had to do face shaves, and I hated doing face shaves, you could cut somebody really easily. I would always have it's like a styptic pencil. I don't know what the active ingredient in a styptic pencil is, but it's like a styptic pencil, and you just kind of use it to stop the bleeding. I don't know how I feel about using it on multiple people, but they say it's antimicrobial and nothing can grow on it. That being said, I don't think it's like up to our state regulatory agency's standards as far as preventing the spread of pathogens or whatever. I don't know. But recently I went into Sprouts and I needed deodorant and I bought crystal deodorant and I like when I opened it I was like, what the hell? This is a rock. What are these hippies doing? But it's a potassium alum. And if you use it wet, it's a deodorant. So that's what crystal deodorant is potassium alum. So now I carry it in my purse and if I get a little cut at work, I can use my crystal deodorant, my potassium alum, Francis, I would use diptych in a powder form if I were using it on other people. But it was good to kind of have on my little station because it was pretty and I could tell people about it. Because for at home, it's amazing, especially because not right now because I ran out of razors, but I use a safety razor, which is a straight razor within the little butterfly thing. And it gives you an amazing shave and it's very cheap and I think environmentally friendly because you're not replacing the whole plastic bit of a disposable razor. It's like all metal, but you can cut yourself pretty good and not feel it. So yeah, exactly. Tea tree oil. Yeah, see, like I usually don't like to mix my crystal stuff and my hippy dippy stuff with my medicine, but tea tree oil, when I did nails, people would recommend that if your doctor doesn't want to put you on medicine for a nail fungus, use tea tree oil. And I kind of rolled my eyes, but I used it before on somebody and it worked. So tea tree oil is one, and I had a boyfriend that it got rid of his acne, and it was the only thing that got rid of his acne, and that's including chemical peels. So Rax has reminded us it is 4:30. So let's do our drawing. Are we giving away one or two of our silvers? Pure silver, metallic medium. Dr. Bob, I'm really big into Reddit, and oh my god, does Reddit hate holistic type healing. I feel like there's a good middle ground, but we always used it when I was a kid. Like, if I was all stuffed up, I'd be opening a bottle of something, and later I'm like, oh, that was eucalyptus oil, or whatever, you know. Old Justin?
Sorry, I'm here. I'm teaching Colin something.
What are you teaching him?
Teaching him VMix.
Why? Is Collins doing it?
No, but it's good to have a backup.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, for vacation primarily, since I'm taking one beginning of February.
When are you taking vacation? Beginning of February?
Yeah.
You excited?
You know that.
I forgot.
Am I excited? The closer we get, yes, I'm ecstatic.
Do you have to fly?
Yes.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, I think I will be too. I take a lot of precautions, so I'm
Aaron
good.
J Bang, thank you. We're actually about to head out, but if you want to do a hashtag free, you might win something. We're about to do our drawing. Yeah.
Okay, let's who do you want to raid? I know we have to I'm gonna draw here since we got a spoon subscription there. I believe that makes 2 cents. And what are we giving away again?
Our silver. Thanks guys for your subs. So willow bark's another one. Willow bark is the, I guess, precursor to aspirin, and you can use it as a root, like a rooting powder when you want to propagate plants because it's antimicrobial. But I've seen willow bark used in a skincare capacity and actually work. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I was getting distracted by not medical advice hour. Hey there. We're about to head out, but we're going to do a drawing. So if you want to hashtag free it, we're going to draw and then we're going to leave for a little bit and we're going to be back at about 6 for Reaper Live. Yep. Howdy, Juris. Oh, salmon
yes,
shorts.
For the people asking, I'm actually going skiing in Aspen. Also, I just drew our 2 names.
We have 2 names, guys.
Our winners are Evil Twin Mason and Izzy Lobo.
Congrats, guys. I'm going to put these in the internet fulfillment department, and you just have to enter ! I won something ? And it will give you instructions on what to do next to claim your winnings. But We're going to leave you to it. Actually, I'm going to see who to raid first. Since I dropped my mouse, I have to use this, like, what's it called? This laptop mouse. And it's hard for me. I want to browse. People are still playing Grand Theft Auto with 182,000 viewers. I like that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Don't forget, here in about an hour and 20 minutes ish, and I'm going to say ish because you know how Reaper Live is. We're going to have. What are we going to have, Sadie?
We're going to have Reaper Live. When can we anticipate the return of Dave and Dave's Funny Corner? Dave's dank memes. You don't know?
Say sorry, Sadie.
Oh, I was asking when Dave's going to be back. I know who I want to raid. Justin?
Sorry.
I know who I want to raid.
Twitch is melting down right now naturally because that's what it does. Hold on a second.
Oh, God. See you guys later. Oh.
Oh, by the way, guys, slow mode is not on. That's just Twitch. Sorry, guys. Chat's not in slow mode. Hasn't been in slow mode according to this.
What? Well, we appreciate the raid anyway. You're NJ Bang.
But yes, we do appreciate the raid. But yes, Reaper Live is set to be at 6 o'clock CST. Obviously, since Twitch is having problems right now, you're always welcome to come back to the channel when it isn't having issues. Even when we're offline, you should be able to type in "I won something?" and that will give you all the info you need. It should be working by Reaper Live too. I hope. I hope.
Can you raid people?
Let's see if it's gonna let me raid somebody.
Okay, I want to raid.
Anne's live.
Okay, let's do Anne. Anne would like this though.
All right.
But let's do Anne anyway. Just a lady painting a dog.
Thank you guys very much. Sorry Twitch is being a turd, but hopefully we'll see you guys here in about an hour and 20 minutes ish.
Spread the Reaper love. We'll miss you. We'll see you at 6. Mwah.
Yes. Thank you guys.